In early 2015, Apple canned the 11-inch MacBook Air. But does it still live on in 2025? I bought this early 2015 11-inch MacBook Air for just £56 shipped, and let's just say it's a hell of a lot of laptop for the money. The MacBook Air is probably Apple's crowning achievement when it comes to the laptop space. Never before did so much come in such a thin and sleek package. When first revealed in 2008 in one of Steve Jobs' greatest on-stage moments, it looked and felt like something from the year 2025, offering no compromises on performance and design in the world's thinnest laptop. It really did shake up the industry. In a world before tablets or the iPad really took off, the 2008 MacBook Air was really the showcase of just how portable computers could be. In 2010, the MacBook Air was redesigned, and in addition to the 13 and 15-inch model, an 11-inch model was added to the range, offering the same performance and quality in a netbook-sized form factor. Netbooks were all the rage at the time. The idea of a tiny, ultra-portable laptop for web browsing seemed brilliant to the average consumer of the time, although in reality, most netbooks were manufactured e-waste. The 11-inch MacBook Air stayed true to the Apple slogan of "Think different," and it was different, although a lot more expensive at $999. That's roughly $1,450 today. For that leap in price, there was a hell of an upgrade over anything the big players in the PC world were churning out. By 2015, the iPad was king of the portable space. Netbooks were dead and buried, and the 11-inch MacBook Air found itself in an awkward position. Too small and with an ageing design, it was canned off, relegated to the history books, with its spiritual successor, the relaunched MacBook, coming in a 12-inch form factor, meeting its demise not too long after. The early 2015 MacBook Air is really the end of an era in a way, the last and best of the netbooks. By 2015, the MacBook Air contained a dual-core 4-thread Broadwell Intel i5, 4 gigs of RAM, optionable up to a massive 8 gigabytes. Even that was quite poor for the time for a premium laptop. And a 128 gigabyte PCI SSD with upgrades available up to 512 gigabytes. In 2025, the 4 gigabytes of RAM soldered to the majority of these machines is really the biggest downfall, as there isn't a real way of expanding the RAM, barring desoldering the chips and soldering in some bigger ones. While the RAM cannot be upgraded, the SSD can. Although it uses a proprietary connector, this can be easily adapted to the M.2 standard, allowing you to expand the storage to your heart or wallet's content. Once the nightmare postal service What Is Every decided to deliver my MacBook, I upgraded the 128GB SSD for a 512 drive. While I had it open, I also swapped out the battery with a third-party replacement, since after almost 10 years and 130 cycles, the battery life had degraded. Luckily, these are still readily and cheaply available. While these definitely aren't necessary upgrades, they do make the laptop a lot more livable in 2025. So, how does it hold up in 2025? All things considered, great. The latest macOS this can run officially is Monterey, and while this is a few versions out of date, it still feels modern, and general usage feels quick and snappy. macOS Sonoma can be shoehorned onto this machine with OpenCore Legacy Patcher, what someday may try, but at the moment there isn't a real need to upgrade from Monterey, since it still receives security patches and all the software you'd want to run still supports it. While this won't stay true, and one day the appeal of Sonoma will grow, for now, Monterey does the job just fine. Office tasks can be done spotlessly as expected, although to be fair, I did write this script on an iBook G4 from the year 2004, so I'd be surprised if this wasn't the case. Web browsing works great, and while things aren't quite as snappy or as instant as my M1 MacBook Air, for less than a quarter of the price, you can't complain. The only real hold-up is YouTube and streaming playback. Due to streaming platforms, especially YouTube, moving to H.265 encoding to reduce bandwidth and storage costs, the performance heavily suffers as the CPU has to manually decode the video for playback, instead of taking advantage of the iGPU's hardware decoder. Luckily, the Chrome plugin H.264 solves this, forcing YouTube and other streaming sites to encode H.264, what the Intel HD graphics can handle natively. It still amazes me how macOS manages to be so efficient to make a almost 10-year-old laptop feel faster than your average Windows laptop after 3 years of Windows updates and general bloat. On that, while macOS game support has always been far behind Windows, what games do run on macOS really struggle on an almost 10-year-old machine. Apart from 2D or light indie games, don't get your hopes up about gaming on it. Although I have enjoyed the quick game of Minecraft every now and then, getting around 30 FPS with a mix of low and medium settings. Although there are steps to further take, Minecraft wise at least, to boost this FPS number, such as the Sodium or Optifine mod. Design wise, the machine still holds up today, with the massive bezel being the only real telltale sign that this machine is from a decade gone by. MagSafe 2 charging to this day makes charging the laptop an almost magic experience. No wonder Apple backpedaled to MagSafe 3 charging from the M2 MacBook onwards, since even with my love of everything that is USB-C, there is truly nothing like blindly aiming your charging lead near the socket and it just snapping through the air into place. This said, the charging lead that was included with mine was clogged up with gunk when I received it, although this was nothing the old toothbrush and some isopropyl alcohol trick couldn't fix. I still can't get over how thin and light this laptop is, even without considering its age. Compared to modern and vintage Windows laptops and even other older MacBooks, there's a massive difference. It almost encourages you to take this with you on trips you wouldn't have otherwise, since it almost gets lost in a backpack. You'd be forgiven for forgetting it's even in there. Although the best part of the design has got to be the light up Apple logo, what gives it that charm that isn't quite reflected in modern Macs. Now Apple has grown up and got serious, that charm's gone. Ironically, this does show the world that your timelessly designed MacBook isn't quite so timeless as it once seemed, as Apple haven't sold a MacBook with a light up Apple logo since this machine's bigger 13-inch brother stopped sale in 2019. I/O wise, there's a relatively wide and modern set of ports, including 2 USB 3 ports, a headphone jack, and a mini display port. A far cry from the 2 USB-C ports, but also double as charging ports found on the M1 MacBook Air. Being on the Intel x86 CPU architecture, it allows you to install any other operating system that you could want, from Linux to Windows to FreeBSD, hell, even Temple OS, if you're really mad enough. The world is really your oyster, OS-wise. You can even run VMs on this if you're really insane, although with 2 cores and 4 gigs of RAM, you're not going to get far in 2025 running anything more than a single lightweight Linux install as your VM. For my uses though, this machine has been great. As a semi-disposable machine, as in if you break it, it doesn't matter. It got me through 3 days in a labour ward with my girlfriend without a hiccup, playing Plex the entire time. I genuinely couldn't ask for more for what little money I put into this. Once they fall in price, I'll probably upgrade to its spiritual successor, the 12-inch MacBook. Although, to be fair, it won't be much of an upgrade CPU-wise. It'd give me a much more modern design, some RAM headroom, and the ability to charge via USB-C. If you're in the market for one of these machines, I'd highly recommend giving one a go. At least if you can find one cheap enough. They still hold up great, as long as you limit your expectations. For second machine usage, they still have a lot of life left to give. I'm sure when this was new, I'd have been a lot harsher on it, but for £56, you can't really complain. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and please let me know in the comments what you think about these more professional scripted videos. I've never done one before, it's my first shot at one, so if you like them, I'll keep doing them. If not, let me know. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.